Very good afternoon to my respected Sayadaw and all pious yogis. So with the permission of Sayadaw, I shall answer all these questions from yogis. The first question, can we allow our mind to be soaked or immersed in the pain? Yes. So, as you know, the important aim of practicing mindfulness meditation, vipassana meditation, is to realize the true natures of pain and overcome one's own mental defilements. So sometimes it's difficult to understand well what does it mean soaking or immersing one's mind in the pain. But as some meditators know the purpose of practicing mindfulness meditation, vipassana meditation, if they can realize the true nature of pain, whatever words they use, soaking them or immersing the mind of pain, if they can realize the true nature of pains and overcome or remove the mental defilements, then that will practice serve the purpose. If meditators realize that they want to be free from the cycle of birth and death, then they have to mindful and note the pain constantly in order to realize the true natures of the pain. Then the next question, and how do we continue to practice once we leave the retreats? What to do daily? And there's another question, quite similar, another two questions that are quite similar to these questions. How to develop sati in daily life? And then there's another question, after retreat, how can I continue to be mindful in the vipassana practice? So it's important to carry forward your practice mindfulness into your daily life. In fact, we can practice mindfulness at any time, any place, as long as the time and the place are suitable for you to develop mindfulness. So the Buddha, there's a well-known teaching the Buddha about mindfulness. Sati is helpful all the time. Sati or mindfulness is needed all the time, especially in order to protect your mind from the attack of mental defilements. So meditators should put forth effort to practice mindfulness as much as possible. So do you know why you can mindful? Do you know why you can practice mindfulness, or why you are able to mindful? Do you know why? It's because you have mind. If you do not have mind, then you cannot practice mindfulness. So that's why it's important to bring your mind with you wherever you go or at any time. If you do not have mind, then definitely you are just like a dead person or walking around without mindfulness. So when meditators want to practice sati outside retreats, Sometimes meditators have to consider the time, the place. According to commentaries, there are these 4 types of sampajanya, or clear comprehension. The first is sataka sampajanya. It means meditators have to comprehend clearly. It means clear comprehension of what is beneficial. You know well that when you can practice mindfulness, you could gain a lot of benefits. But meditators should not go ahead to practice mindfulness at the time. They have to consider the second clear comprehension of suitability, sapaya sampajanya. So even though meditators want to practice mindfulness, sometimes they have to consider whether or not the time is suitable, the place is suitable or not to develop mindfulness. So when meditators realize that the time and the place are right, then they can practice mindfulness at that time. So sometimes we advise the meditators, for example, it may be not good to practice mindfulness while you are driving. If you are driving and you, just like the other yogi, immerse yourself into mindfulness of turning the steering and so on, then you may not be careful about driving. Sometimes you may cause an accident. So time and the place. So when the time and the place are suitable for you to develop mindfulness, then we come to the third clear comprehension, Gochara Sampajanya. Gochara means domain or territory. So the domain of meditators is not outside the meditators, but inside. It means meditators begin to mindful of their own mind and body, or in other words, their own nama rupa, or the 5 gates of clinging. If they can practice mindfulness at that time very well, and able to develop deep concentration, for example, strong Kanika Samadhi, then naturally meditators will come to the 4th clear comprehension, Asamoha Sampajanya, the clear comprehension, non-delusion. Asamoha means panya, or non-delusion, panya. So at that time, meditators may gain some wisdoms or insight knowledge, for the realizing that their mind, or the state of mind, for example, anger, did not last long. That mental state of anger subjects to arising and passing away, and so on. So it's also important. To practice some formal meditation. That's when you do some planning, so that you have time to practice, for example, at least an hour of mindfulness meditation, or the longer the better. If you do have 1 hour to practice mindfulness meditation at home, then you may practice walking meditation, for example, about 20 minutes or about 30 minutes. Then you need proceed to your sitting meditation. So when you practice walking meditation, the way of practice at home is similar to now what you have been practicing for the last 14 days, or in this 14th day retreats. But sometimes some meditators may not be able to slow down very much in their daily practice at home. It's because I believe most of you could not slow down anymore. You are rushing, running all the time. So it's difficult to walk very slow like the way you are doing in the retreats. But you may attempt to mindful, for example, left and right, not more than 10 minutes. Then you may have another 10 to 10 minutes of mindfulness of 3 process of movements: lifting, pushing, dropping. And it's always important to be able to mindful of your mind during walking and sitting meditation. For example, when you realize that your mind is thinking of something, you may have to stop your walking. If that thinking did not disappear instantly, so it's better to stop walking so that you can pay full attention to that mental state thinking. In other words, when you stop thinking, then you shall be able to mindful, note attentively or precisely, analytically, thinking. When the thinking had gone, then you resume your walking again. So, at their walking meditation, it's important to carry forward your mindfulness and concentration that you have developed in your walking meditation. You should carry forward into your sitting. So the way of sitting meditation is also similar to the way that you are practicing here. You may have to start with your basic object of sitting meditation, such as movement of abdomens. You could not perceive any movements of abdomens. You can always direct your mindfulness to the other 2 basic objects, sitting, and you may choose 2 clear contacts and note them one after another as touching. Then be mindful of the second contact and note it as touching. So you need to put forth effort so that your mind is working in the sense that the mind is always mindful of one object at each moment. If you sit quietly without mindful and note any phenomenon, then you are indeed not meditating at that moment. So it's always possible to practice mindfulness. As long as meditators did not have to engage in work. For example, sometimes you in your work you may require to read your reports or to write a reports and so on. Then it is not possible to practice mindfulness at that time. It's because reading and writing are mental work, and meditation is a mental work as well. So sometimes meditators cannot practice mindfulness while reading their reports in the office or writing a report and so on. So meditators, if they are very keen to realize the noble truth, or they have strong aspiration to attain enlightenment and to be free from this samsara or suffering in samsara, they definitely they will they will not be forgetful. They will always striving to be mindful. So it's possible to develop mindfulness in our daily life. As us meditators have strong aspiration, and they have strong aspiration to attain enlightenment, and they are very keen to develop more and more wisdoms. So there's the answer to these three questions. Then, how do we know when to drop labelings? If meditators have been practicing well and able to make progress, usually they will know from their experience when to drop labeling. For example, sometimes meditators perceive the arising of a mental state, for example, thinking instantly, and that thinking also pass away or disappear instantly. Meditators, at the time meditators could not make mental labeling because the thinking had passed away. We can make mental labeling because we have realized clearly or have seen clearly an object has appeared at that moment. But when meditators mindful of it, that object did not disappear instantly, then meditators shall be able to make mental labeling. We cannot make labeling when the object had passed away. So when meditators could develop constant and conscious mindfulness for a longer period of time, when they are able to develop stronger and stronger Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, this Samadhi sometimes is known as Khanika Vipassana Samadhi. At the time, that concentration gives rise to wisdom, wisdom that realizes or discerns the rapid process of various phenomena. It means every process of the arising and passing away of every process of any phenomenon is so rapid, so sweet, or very swiftly, very rapidly. At the time, labeling cannot catch up with that very rapid process of every phenomenon. Then definitely the mind will drop the labeling, and the mind will merely be mindful or be aware of those rapid processes of various phenomena as they really are. So sometimes when meditators have not yet developed such strong and deep Khanika Vipassana Samadhi, so they may have to make mental labeling as a way or as a tool to help them to strengthen their mindfulness. But sometimes sometimes certain phenomena have appear and disappear very rapidly. So meditators may have to drop labeling at that moment. Then the next question, please explain samatha and vipassana in brief. So the word samatha means tranquility or calmness of the mind, and vipassana in brief, the word vipassana means realizations of three common characteristics of mental physical phenomena through direct experience, personal experience. So the purpose of practicing samatha meditation is to develop calmness, peacefulness, or tranquil mind by concentrating the mind on a single object of concentration. Or for example, if you practice metta bhavana, loving kindness meditation, then you concentrate your mind on the development of the thoughts or mental state of loving kindness all the time. You do not have to pay attention to other phenomena. If you realize your mind has wandered away, you ignore that wandering mind, you bring your mind back again and concentrate your mind on the cultivation or development of the thoughts of loving kindness. If samatha meditators experience, for example, a strong body sensation such as pain, they are not mindful of that pain. They do not have to note the pain as it is, but they bring the mind back and they have to put more effort to concentrate the mind on the development of thoughts of metta, loving kindness, so that the mind will not go to the pain, or the mind will not wander away. So samatha meditators always aspire to develop a deeper and deeper concentration, and they can attain two types of concentration. The first type is known as upachara samadhi, neighborhood concentration, or access concentration. The concentration just before the attainment of absorption concentration, or apana samadhi or dhyana samadhi. So when meditators practice samatha meditation, they have to choose the object samatha meditation. There are altogether 40 object samatha meditation. In meditators, for example, choose the attributes of the Buddha as an object concentration. In those they practice Buddhanusati, then they may attain upasa samadhi. They cannot attain concentration that higher than upasa samadhi. If they wish to attain absorption concentration, then they may change your object concentration, for example, to metta and so on. So, samatha, the purpose of practicing samatha meditation is to develop deeper and deeper concentration, and meditators will experience calmness, peacefulness of the tranquility of mind. But it is not possible to develop panya or wisdoms. It's because most of the object samatha meditation are not paramatha dharma. They belong to concept or samuti satya. So it's not possible to develop wisdoms by the practice of samatha meditation. And the samatha meditators could not uproot the mental defilements in their practice. They can only suppress their defilements when they have deep concentration. So it's not possible to uproot the mental defilements, for example, to remove anusakiresa by the practice of samatha meditation. But the purpose of vipassana meditation is to realize the true natures of mental and physical phenomena as they really are. So the phenomena of vipassana meditation, or the objects of vipassana meditation, must be ultimate realities or paramatha dharma. So paramatha dharma, such as the mind, citta or cetasika, mental concomitants and rupa, the body phenomena, have their nature or their own natures, and they have the natures of arising and passing away, and the nature of or characteristics of dukkha and anatta. So when meditators practice vipassana meditation, they are objects of phenomena that they have to be mindful, that should be taken as an object of mindfulness meditation, are their own mind and body processes, or in other words, nama and rupa, or their own five aggregates of clinging. So meditators have to be mindful of every phenomenon as it really occurs. So we have explained the Dhamma talk, how does a yogi able to realize vipassana knowledge clearly. They have to develop the foundations of their progress. First of all, they also must attain the second stage of purification of mind. The first stage is purification of morality. So when meditators have attained purification of mind, then they begin to realize the specific characteristics or the individual characteristics or sabha lakkhana of mental physical phenomena clearly. Then they shall be able to realize the relationship of nama and rupa in terms of cause and effect. The nama rupa always occur as a state of interdependence or interconditionality. Then, so this is a foundation of realizing these experiences are the foundations of realizing vipassana knowledge. So during the practice of vipassana meditation, meditators would overcome the mental defilements in two ways. The first, before the attainment of path knowledge, meditators overcome the defilements by the way in Pali known as tatanga pahana or tatanga pahana. So in other words, when meditators realize certain experiences of insight knowledge. For example, when meditators can see clearly at each movement, there's only a pair of processes. For example, the movement rising, then there's a process of mindfulness or the noting mind. Beside these two processes, apart from these two processes, meditators cannot find something else. There's no self or an I or yogi behind these two processes. So at the time, there's only a pair of processes. A process of movements and a process of mindfulness or the noting mind. So when meditators have gained this experience at the time, the wrong view of self or deity is removed by that experience of insight. So this way of removal of mental defilements to this experience of insight, or is known as Tatangga Pahana. Sometimes the word Tatangga Pahana is also translated as a partial removal. So if meditators could sustain the effort, or sometimes they have to increase their mental effort here, then that Tatangga Pahana will pave the way to the attainment of Samucceda Pahana. Samucceda Pahana means abandonment of defilements, or defilements are uprooted completely by the path knowledge. For example, if meditators are able to attain the first stage of path knowledge, or Sotapatimagga Jnana, that path knowledge uproots two kinds of mental defilements: ditthi, the wrong view of self, or you thinking that's a self, and vicikicca, the doubts, the doubt about the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, as well as the doubt about the training, or the training that can lead you to the attainment of enlightenment. So vipassana meditation, the ultimate aims of vipassana meditation is to uproot all the mental defilements in order to attain enlightenment, in order to attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So during the practice vipassana meditation, meditators also have to realize that they do not have a single object of mindfulness meditation. They have many different mental and physical phenomena that can be taken as an object of mindfulness meditation or vipassana meditation. They do not, for example, when meditators are mindful of rising movements or falling movements during sitting meditation, if the mind has wandered away, or sometimes the mind was thinking of something, they should not purposely bring their mind back and concentrate their mind on the movements of rising and falling. They should be mindful and note the thinking as it really occurs until the thinking has disappeared by itself. So in those, meditators should not purposely make an effort to stop the thinking, or to cut off the thinking, or to suppress the thinking. So it's different from the practice of samatha meditation. This is a brief explanation between these two types of meditation, samatha meditation and vipassana meditations. Then the next question, how does passive or rigid mind or rigid mindfulness affect our practice, especially the concentration part? In the practice of mindfulness meditation, we can say that the mind should be active. Active in the sense that the mind is mindful and note from one phenomenon to next phenomenon, or from one moment to next moment. For example, sometimes meditators realize that the process painful sensation was persisting. Then they have to mindfully note pain, 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 in order to realize the pain or to experience the pain from one moment to next moment. They are not merely feeling the pain, let the mind stay there, but they have to arouse the effort so that the mindfulness become active and is able to mindful and look from one moment to next moment. So we can say that the mind should be active, alert, and be mindful and note from one moment to next moment. Similarly, when meditators are mindful of other phenomena, they also need to mindful and note from one moment to next moment and so on. But sometimes meditators sometimes may have developed good concentration. The meditators experience that the mind is very calm, peaceful. So sometimes some meditators enjoy the states of calmness, peacefulness. They like that state of mind very much. So they merely let the mind dwell in that calmness, peacefulness. At the time the mind was no longer mindful and note any phenomenon. Sometimes some meditators think that the mind was staying still. But in the practice of mindfulness meditation, meditators let the mind dwell in calmness, quietness of the mind, and so on. Then the mind is no longer active. We can say it's passive. So if the mind is passive, it is inactive, just staying quiet. Sometimes staying in quietness it also implies that the mind becomes idle. Idle, that means the mind is not working. So in that way, it's not possible to develop Khanika Vipassana Samadhi. So sometimes we can say that the concentration gained by mindfulness meditation is a kind of active concentration, active from one moment to next moment. It's different from the practice of samatha meditation, where the mind, as if being absorbed into the object of concentration all the time. The mind, when there's a strong absorption, it seems that the mind cannot leave that object. But in mindfulness meditation, meditators could not concentrate their mind on one object. If they have good concentration, they could not concentrate their mind on one object even more than a moment. As you know, if you understand the teachings of Buddha, the teachings say that all conditioned phenomena, or Sankata Dhamma in Pali, has the nature of instant arising and passing away. There's not even an object or phenomenon that lasts more than a moment. So the mindfulness is always active concentration is also active. So that meditators could develop experience of vipassana meditation from one movement to next movement. So when meditators have gained a strong Kanika Vipassana Samadhi, they realize that every conditioned phenomenon is arising and passing away very swiftly, very rapidly. It's not possible to concentrate on any conditioned phenomenon more than a movement. So the mind stays passive, it's not active. Keeping the mind with one object only, then it's difficult to develop Kanika Vipassana Samadhi. So meditators have to realize that the concentration that they should develop in the practice of mindfulness meditation, Vipassana meditation, we can say that it's a kind of active mindfulness or active concentration. Then the next question, can you please give some examples of experiences leading to the attainment of the first stage of enlightenment, path and functions of Sotapanna? So this experience, you have to discover yourself. The Buddha always said, one who understands the Dharma well, the practice of mindfulness meditation, Vipassana meditation, is a way or the path of a self-discovery. No one can give you this experience. If any teachers can give you the experience, then it may be against the spirits of this meditation. The spirit of this meditation is such that meditators have to put forth their own effort to develop their mindfulness and wisdoms, or mindfulness, concentration and wisdom. Sometimes we say mindfulness wisdom, then certain meditators might be thinking that in this meditation, mindfulness meditators do not require to develop concentration. So every meditator has to put forth effort to develop their mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom or insight knowledge. No one can give their mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom to you, nor you could offer your mindfulness, concentration, wisdom to others. It's just like taking medicine when you are sick. Do you wish that someone will take the medicine on behalf of you so that your sickness will be cured? Similarly, the defilements is found in your mind. The defilements has been lying inside your mind since the beginningless of this round of samsara. So you have to do it yourself. You have to find out your own experience. But if meditators practice correctly, they will attain the same goal. To uproot the mental defilements. For example, as I said earlier, they will uproot DT, the wrong view of self, and vicikicca, the doubts, and attain these states of enlightenment, Sotapatti, Magga, and Phala Jnana. So if you understand the teaching, for example, one of the Dhammapada verses say that purity and impurity of the mind depends entirely on oneself. another Dhammapada verse say that Tathagata only show you the way. You yourself have to strive. So everyone have to, in other words, everyone have to take responsibility of their mind. If we can say, if the mind is defiled or becomes dirty, then you have to clean your mind, clean away the dirt of your mind yourself. No one can do it for you. Then the next question. I've been practicing Anapanasati for the past year. Having now been introduced to me Vipassana meditation, I'm keen to have both practices, Anapanasati and Vipassana, one after another. Since the nature of Khanika Samadhi, Vipassana, or in bracket Vipassana, is moment-to-moment concentration, will this complement and support access concentration developed from Anapanasati? When I embark on Vipassana in the following sessions. So meditators, there are two ways of practicing Vipassana meditation. One is Vipassana preceded by Samatha meditation. The other is known as a pure Vipassana meditation or Sutta Vipassana Bhavana. So, if meditators practice Samatha meditation, for example, Anapanasati or Metta Bhavana, loving kindness, and so on. So, when meditators, for example, practice Anapanasati, and they only wish to attain access concentration, and then they begin to change or to switch over their practice to the Vipassana meditation. Then at the time, meditators have to be mindful of their body phenomena, and mental phenomena as they really occur. So access concentration or Upasana Samadhi can only be attained by Samatha meditators. But Vipassana meditators can attain Khanika Samadhi. So when meditators practice Vipassana meditation preceded by Samatha meditation, then they must know the way of developing mindfulness after switching over to the practice Vipassana meditation. So sometimes meditators have developed concentration, for example, access concentration in their practice of Samatha meditation, such as Anapanasati. If they know how to mindful of whatever phenomenon that appear at a time based on their access concentration, sometimes that access concentration will support their practice of Vipassana meditation. So sometimes some meditators who would like to practice metta at the beginning of sitting meditation, sometimes they can practice metta well and develop concentration to a certain degree. That concentration is very helpful to the development of the insight knowledge by the practice of mindfulness meditation. Definitely Samatha meditation can complement and support the practice of Vipassana meditation. But meditators have to know the differences between these two types of bhavana. If they practice Vipassana meditation by the way of Samatha meditation, then they cannot develop insight knowledge. Or for example, some vipassana meditators, when they are mindful of the movements of abdomen, rising movements and falling movements, as they really occur, sometimes they realize that the mind has wandered away to thinking and so on. They bring their mind back to the movement abdomens and mindful the movement abdomens and at that time. So they did not mindful of their wandering mind or thinking mind. So in that way, they are practicing vipassana meditation in the way of samatha meditation. So meditators must know the difference. So that when they want to practice vipassana meditation, then they practice the way of vipassana meditation so that they can develop various insight knowledge and attain enlightenments. If they practice samatha meditation, then they follow the way of samatha meditation. For example, concentrate their mind on one object concentration all the time. Then, the next question, can we just observe the pain sensation only instead of making mental note? So it depends on the power of mindfulness at the time. Sometimes meditators have developed strong kanika samadhi, so they can realize that the painful sensation is arising and passing away from one moment to next moment very rapidly. Then they may not have to make mental noting or labeling at the time. But if meditators have not yet developed strong kanika samadhi, then it's difficult to realize that the painful sensation is arising and passing away from one moment to next moment. So meditators have to know from their practice that sometimes they have to make mental note or labeling. We always emphasize that mental labeling or taking note of the mind is very helpful to the meditators in order to develop more and more attentive, precise and energetic mindfulness from one moment to next moment. So noting or labeling is like a tool. So meditators have to make use of this tool wisely. Then the next question, what constitutes a kanika samadhi? Can I say that it constitutes the rising and passing away of an object together with the rising and passing of the noting or awareness? Yes, the meditators have developed strong kanika samadhi. They realize that both processes do not last more than a moment. They are arising and passing away almost together, like almost at the same moment. It's because these two processes are very rapid. And then at that time, the mind is free from 5 mental hindrances and other defilements. Then the next question, how do we know if we manage to get panya? Panya means wisdom. Yes, it's similar to for example, eating your meals. Surely you know the taste. So if you do practice correctly, able to mindful of every object as it really occurs, then definitely you know your experience, your perceived experience, For example, you can mindful note better and better. At first, you cannot mindful and note right at the beginning of the phenomenon. Sometimes you cannot see clearly the passing away of that phenomenon. But when you are able to increase your virya gradually, then you realize that you can mindful and note every process faster and faster than before. And you keep on practicing, you may be able to see the passing away of every phenomenon clearer and clearer. So when you keep on practicing, you shall be able to mindful and note every process or every phenomenon right at the moment of appearing. And then you see clearly the passing away right at that moment of passing away. Then you begin to gain some experiences of anicca. So this panya or wisdom is known as panya is because that wisdom is conducive to the realization of anicca, dukkha, anatta, and is also conducive to the realizations of the Four Noble Truths eventually. So meditators have gained some wisdoms in the practice. For example, even though they may not have attained the first stage of path knowledge, if they do develop more wisdom that realizing anicca, dukkha, anatta, when the wisdom is getting stronger, by right their defilements shall be getting weaker or lesser. If mindful meditators or vipassana meditators, after practicing mindful meditation for a long time, but their defilements did not become lesser or did not become weaker. In other words, the defilements as strong as before. Then it shows that they are not yet developed wisdoms or insight knowledge in their practice. So in other words, even though meditators have not yet realized at least the first stage of path knowledge, we can judge from once we can judge ourselves if the wisdom has developed. Definitely, whatever that's opposite to the wisdom, we means defilements such as ignorance, hatred, craving or greed, or another defilements that sometimes can be manifested even in the meditators. Conceit or mana. Conceit means one has a lot of pride, or a lot of pride, very conceited, or sometimes we say becomes very egoistic, a lot of ego. So you can know your progress, whether your defilements are getting lesser, weaker, whether your tendency to do something wrong or even to violate the moral precept, was the tendency become weaker or remains the same or even getting stronger and so on. So you know whether you have panya or not through the practice of vipassana meditation. Then the next question, can sitting and touching be used as a primary form of notation. If not the abdomen. Yes, there are these three basic observing meditation. If meditators could not perceive the movement of abdomens, and at that time there's no other stronger phenomenon, then they can always take sitting, touching as the basic of their sitting meditation. When meditators are mindful and not sitting and touching, if there's another stronger phenomenon has appeared, then they should mindful and note there are stronger phenomenon. Or sometimes some meditators mindful and not sitting, touching, then movements manifested clearly by itself, then they should mindful the movements of rising or falling at that time. Then another question. If one is sitting calmly and just noting the rising and falling abdomen without any mental formations, what else should he do further? So from this question, without any mental formation, I take it maybe what the yogi meant here, that the mind, there was no thinking or wandering mind or other mental objects. So they only mindful note rising and falling abdomen. So at the time, meditators should ensure that they can see a pair of processes clearly. Sometimes some meditators can mindful note rising, falling movements for a long time, but they cannot realize clearly the process of mindfulness. They only realize that there is one single process of mindfulness that has been mindful and note the movement of abdomens rising, falling, all the time. There's only one awareness or mindfulness that has been mindful and note the process of rising, falling movements for a long time. In that way, if you understand the practice vipassana meditation, can such meditators develop insight knowledge? Sometimes some meditators could concentrate their mind. The mind, you follow the movement rising, falling constantly for longer time, for longer time, and the mind is very calm, free from hindrances, and so on. Do you think can such meditators develop insight knowledge? As I explained earlier, or even the Dhamma talk, meditators have to see clearly a pair of processes. Then you only begin to gain some insight knowledge. For example, you realize a process of rising movements, then there's a process of awareness. When rising movement has disappeared, that awareness also will disappear. It won't stay on and note the next falling movements. If meditators can sharpen the mindfulness and able to realize a series of broken process movements. For example, they realize that there's a stage of rising, that means a process of rising movements. Then the process movement pass away. Then there's another process of rising movements. Then the second process movements also subject to passing away. Then they realize there's another process of rising movements. So at the time, how many processes of mindfulness will appear at the time? If you practice correctly, then you realize that there are three different processes of mindfulness that will arise dependent on the movements. When there's a first process movements, then the mindfulness will arise dependent on that movements. When the movements disappear, mindfulness definitely will subject to passing away. As I explained in the talk, that if the cause is not permanent, definitely the effect also not permanent. And when there's another process rising movements, then there will be another process of mindfulness arise dependent on that movements. When that movements had passed away, that mindfulness also will pass away. So if meditators can proceed further in this way, definitely they will make more progresses in their practice, or even able to attain enlightenments. So meditators have to know the differences between vipassana meditation and samatha meditation. Sometimes some vipassana meditators have strong power of concentration. They can keep their mind stay with the movement rising falling. Sometimes they know the mind think of something, but they think that their mindfulness is still staying with the movement of rising falling. So in that way, that mindfulness is not active or a bit of a passive, or in those sometimes meditators exercise a strong control over the process of mindfulness. So even though they know, they realize the mind think of something, but they think that their mindfulness, they're still able to keep their mindfulness following the movements of rising falling. In the way they are practicing the way like quite similar to samatha meditation. So if one sitting calmly and just noting the rising falling of the abdomen, they must realize that whether at the time that their practice inclines toward concentration or inclines towards the development insight knowledge. If they know that their practice is inclined towards insight knowledge, then definitely they will know how to proceed further. Then I've been practicing vipassana meditation for many years. This is the longest retreat I had ever attended. Even though I managed to note rising and the passing away the pain, however, it comes again in every sitting. This makes me feel the sensation of suffering is really suffering. And what more, want to attain the enlightenment. Then in bracket, I think this is all due to my defilements. My questions are, can I just practice meditation casually for calmness purposes and metta, and to attain or joining short retreat for 2 or 3 times per year? So it depends whether you like samsara or not. You will like suffering in this world, or then you can practice vipassana meditation casually, not seriously, not respectfully. So if one can realize or understand well what is suffering, definitely one will put forth more effort to develop wisdoms. So that's why we say suffering is a friend of meditators. Actually, there's a sutta say suffering is the cause of arising of faith, saddha. You do not have saddha, you do not have suffering, do you think you want to come to the temples? Many people go to temples because suffering. So they will say suffering is the cause of arising of Satan. This is one of these causes found in the Nidara Samhita. Then will I be reborn in human realm or lower in my next life if I don't attain the enlightenment or Nibbana in this very life? So you wish to be reborn in human realms, at least you should try to attain the first stage of enlightenment. Then you have fixed destiny. But even though you assimilate one has not attained the first stage of enlightenment, then it's important, for example, to develop what we call good habit, good habits. For example, meditators practice mindfulness meditation before going to sleep. They should not practice meditation with the intention to sleep well. Sometimes there's not a right intention, that's why they cannot make much progress. Then the first thing in the morning, they should develop mindfulness as soon as they realize they have to wake up, or be mindful of waking up, and so on. Then it's also important always recollect your good deeds that you've been doing. So in other words, this one called habitual karma. But the best is you can practice mindfulness, mindful meditation as much possible. One of the reasons that we cannot attain enlightenment is because our five mental faculties are not yet strong enough. So there are some discourses in the Samyutta Nikaya discussing about the benefits of five mental faculties. So do you know what are the five mental faculties? Saddha, confidence with right understanding, or faith, or virya, effort, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, panya, wisdom. If you could develop wisdom, if you can cultivate these five mental faculties, when the five mental faculties are strong enough, one can even attain enlightenment towards the end of the life. At the time, if one cannot attain the highest state of enlightenment, arhatship, then one may be able to attain the third state of enlightenment, anagami. So there's the benefit of having strong mental faculties. So we have to make effort to develop our mental faculties. Sometimes some meditators might be thinking that my mental faculties are not strong, or some say that my paramis are not yet ripe or matured, so they think they can't meditate. This is not the correct understanding. Mental faculties and paramis do not really, you cannot get it without any effort. Even you do not have sharp and strong mental faculties, then if you can practice mindfulness constantly and continuously, according to the commentary, Visuddhimagga, once the way to strengthen the five mental faculties is to practice mindfulness meditation, vipassana meditation respectfully, and the other way is to develop mindfulness constantly and continuously. Our mental faculties, the wholesome mental factors, will not become strong by themselves. You need to put forth effort to train them or cultivate them. So that's why Bhavana is known as mental culture or mental treatment. The purpose is to develop your wholesome mental factors in your mind. If you do not put forth effort to develop your wholesome mental factors, such as sati, samadhi, panya, wisdoms, and so on, then we shall be easily influenced by the bad elements. The mind will be easily overpowered by defilements. So that's why meditators have to put forth effort to develop these wholesome mental factors such as sati. So during meditation, sometimes meditators encounters mental hindrances, defilements. So they have to bring out their courage and face it. In fact, sati is manifested as a mental state turning towards the object, coming face to face with the object. So when there's a defilement or any of the hindrances has appeared at the time, for example, sleepiness or anger. So when you mindful note anger, the anger may not, sometimes the anger may not disappear instantly. It's because your mindfulness is still weak. But you put forth effort, develop this quality of perseverance. The word perseverance means not willing to give up when facing difficulties or hindrances or any kinds of obstacles. When you go mindful note anger, or you encounter sleepiness, you note sleepy. You are indeed putting effort to develop these wholesome mental factors of sati. When you can do it again and again, eventually your sati shall become stronger and stronger. So it's not possible to strengthen the sati without any effort. It's not possible. So as a meditators also need to develop patience, or the virtue of patience, perseverance, and put forth strenuous effort in practice. If meditators put forth an ordinary effort in their practice, they will not make much progress. So it's important that meditators should put forth effort to sustain what called wholesome state of mind, all the time. Then another question: does intention have to be always noted before doing walkings, left and right, lifting, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing, and in all actions during sitting? Is being aware of the action same as intention. So when meditators have developed strong mindfulness and concentration, then they shall be able to see the arising of intention clearly. Sometimes we do not know intention if we do not see it, or we do not know something blindly. Noting something blindly means meditators did not perceive it, but merely say in your mind. So you can refer to your chanting book at the back, there are certain discourses of contemplation. You can find there are two discourses on Arya Vohara and Anarya Vohara. It's not difficult to understand this course. Arya Vohara, noble declarations, is sometimes also translated as the speech of noble one. Anarya Vohara, the speech of noble ones. Seeing, when one sees, then one says seeing. When one hears, then one says one's hearing. But let's say if you do not see, but you say I see, then it is Anarya Vohara. So you may refer to that two discourses as a way, as a guide to a practice of mindfulness meditation. Then, when we mindful of movements, if we can see intention, definitely we can see the intention before the movements. But do you think that is the touching preceded by intention? Do you think the touching should be preceded by intention? So if you reflect on experience, as you mindful dropping, putting foot down, even there's intention or not, definitely your foot will touch the floor. So that touching is not important. We do not know intention before touching. When you mindful, not dropping. At the end of the dropping movements, definitely you shall feel touching. So similarly, in sitting meditation, during sitting meditation, we sit still. Actually, there's no movement, so we keep our posture still. It's not so meaningful, for example, to note the intention rising, intention falling. As long as we are alive, we have breath, the abdomens shall move by itself naturally. But sometimes meditators realize that their posture is not upright. For example, drooping or bending. Then if they want to straighten up the postures, that straightening is definitely preceded by the intention. But sometimes some meditators could not see it because they have not yet developed sharp mindfulness and deep concentration. So it's being aware of the actions same as intention. Actions is rupa, or intention is nama. So if meditators can be aware of the intention, then they may realize the relationship between their intention and the actions, or intention and their movements, and so on. So these are the answers to all questions. I hope you understand well the practice of vipassana meditation, so that you can make progress all the time.